Yo, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's 11:32 a.m. Pacific time. It's August 12th, 2025. Let's begin. Gerrymandering by both parties is deepening America's America's identity as a unified nation is eroding, with Republican and Democratic-led states divided into two separate spheres, each with its own policies governing the economic, social, and political rules of life. The bitter fight over redrawing U.S. House maps, triggering by President Trump's effort to protect his party majority in the 2026 midterm elections, is the latest example of how the dominant party in many states is making extraordinary efforts to impose its will. In 40 states, a single party controls the House, Senate, and governor's office, a so-called trifecta, or else has enough power to block vetoes from the governor of the other party. That leaves less than 20% of Americans living in a state where the minority party has a meaningful voice in governance. There still has been widening differences in red and blue. Abortion is now restricted in about one-third of states, all of them controlled by Republicans, while abortion access is protected or allowed in every Democratic trifecta state. Every GOP trifecta state has passed bans or limits on gender-affirming care for minors. Red and blue states have moved in sharply different directions on gun when Louisiana passed a law last year that required the Ten Commandments to be displayed in public schools. Later struck down by courts, 18 GOP trifecta states filed a legal brief in support. You're seeing this divide trifecta blue states and trifecta red, and it's creating this remarkable contrast in which you've got radically different policies from state to state, said A. Richards, a research fellow at the Heritage Foundation, who tracks legislation regarding gender, marriage, and religious liberty. Television images of Democratic lawmakers who fled Texas for sanctuary in Democratic-led Illinois, New York, and Massachusetts show that these differences reflect not just policy preferences, but are facets of a hostile confrontation. Red and blue states are threatening to use the maximum legal and political tools available to limit the power of the other party. At Trump's insistence, effort to redraw their House districts to give the Republican Party more seats. They have also issued civil arrest to breaking Democrats to return to the state so that the redistricting process can move forward. In return, lawmakers in Democratic-led California, Illinois, and other states are looking at redrawing their own maps to give Democrats a stronger hand. This is how use Democratic as she heard this week in Albany with fleeing Texas lawmakers. And that's why the gloves are off, and I say bring it on. The prospect of tit for tat legislating has already been a reality in other states, in other areas of state governance. In North Dakota, the GOP majority in 2023 made a felony for doctors to provide certain transgender care to minors. Next door, Democrats declared Minnesota a trans refuge state, extending legal protections to people from other states seeking transgender medical treatment. As Republican states banned or narrowed abortion access, Massachusetts, Colorado, and other Democratic states passed laws protecting patients and healthcare providers from abortion-related investigations or licensing consequences undertaken by the more restrictive states. It is an essential error to think of America as a single nation, said Michael Pothorzer, the former political director of the AFL-CIO. Rather, the U.S. is a binational republic, two nations one red and one blue, he said. There aren't cannons, and this isn't Bull Run, he said. This is not a civil war, but it's very much a battle of how people are going to live in this country. In almost every way, life in blue America is different than in red America. Trump has pressed for a more aggressive use of his authority to disempower blue states and enhance Republican power. This past week, he called for the Commerce Department to start working on a census that excludes immigrants who are in the country illegally. A move that would surely face court challenges. When Trump made a similar call in his first term, he singled out California's immigrant population and said that the current census rules give the state 2 or 3 more congressional seats that it otherwise would be granted. Currently, a single party holds both a legislative majority and the governor's office in 38 states. 2 states, Kentucky and Canada, large majorities that can override vetoes from the state's Democratic governors. In the prior election cycle in 2022, voters created 39 trifecta states, the largest number since 1946, according to the National Conference of State Legislators. 4 additional states had legislative supermajorities that left 16% of Americans living in states where both parties share power, compared with 20% today. One anomaly is Alaska. While technically a Republican trifecta, its House and Senate are run by bipartisan coalitions, even though Republicans have a majority of seats in both chambers. State governments have often been called the laboratories of democracy for their ability to experiment with policy. In some ways, the partisan divide has turned them into laboratories of conformity. Republican-led Florida, Texas, and some other states have passed laws allowing challenges to bookend school libraries or instructional materials. In response, at least 8 states, 6 of them currently with Democratic governors and legislative majorities, have passed laws since 2023 intending to limit book bans or to protect librarians from lawsuits. Rhode Island this year became the 10th state to ban the sale of assault-style weapons, all of them states with Democratic trifectas, while 25 of the 29 states that allow people to carry concealed handguns without a permit are currently led by Republican trifectas. Some 26 states have right-to-work laws that allow workers to take a job without having to join a union or pay dues, provisions that labor movement bitterly opposes. 21 of them are under all Republican control. 10 states, 9 of them with Republican trifecta governments, have declined to expand their Medicaid programs using federal money from the Affordable Care Act. At the same time, Republican-led states are among the 40 that have expanded their Medicaid programs under the ACA, including Ohio, Utah, and Oklahoma. Redrawing House districts for maximum partisan advantage would probably expand the nation's political divide, wiping out some of the remaining Democratic House members from red states and Republican from blue states, leaving the minority party in each state with less representation. The 2 parties will become more geographically sorted, and the different interests of blue voters in red states and red voters in blue states will get lost in the wash, said Ben Williams, who once tracked legislation for the National Conference of State Legislators, and is now with Fair Vote, a nonpartisan voting regulations group. A figure once familiar in Congress, the Northeastern Republican has nearly vanished. The 6 New England states don't include a single GOP House member. The conservative Southern Democrat, once a powerful force in Congress, has also been in decline. Again, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below and let me know what you think. Follow me on Instagram, the Studio 11. Follow me on X, the Studio 2020. I like to say Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. See you on the next YouTube video. See you on the next video. It's until next time.